Hello everybody, Prowl here, and I have a video for you today that I really don't want to make, but I'm going to make it because I feel like I have to talk about it. Don't expect any fancy editing, any pictures popping up on screen. There's not going to be any of the fancy stuff here. We're just going to talk about some pretty serious problems that I think Minecraft has, and I want to put the context to this up front. I don't complain about these things because I don't like Minecraft or don't like Minecraft Bedrock. It's actually the exact opposite. I really like the game. Like Minecraft is probably the best game ever created, right? But it's just falling so short lately, and especially on the Bedrock Edition side of things, it's just making so many really bad mistakes that I think we need to talk about it. And I think the way that our community responds to a lot of these things is so incredibly bad that we almost kind of deserve what we get, which is, as we talk about here in a moment, is them just kind of taking away any, like, all sorts of either good things, at least to some people, or things that don't really matter, but they just take them away anyways. So I don't want to give away the plot too much here. I just want to kind of have a conversation about it. If you disagree with me on certain things, it's fine. You can let me know down below, as long as you're not a jerk. Like, I don't care. Like, it's fine for people to have other decisions or other opinions on things. If you do agree with me, that's cool. Let me know that you agree down below as well. Let's not turn this into a, like, let's fight each other fest. I just want to kind of talk about some of my thoughts and opinions on it, and give you some context as to why I think that way. And hopefully, if you don't think the same as I do, maybe you come out of this at least understanding my side of things a little bit better. So before we get into the parody thing really quick, I think it would be good to talk about just a couple of smaller things first, but they're things to me that matter. And I guess it is still parody in a way. Mojang announced their new versioning system, which was definitely needed. Like, the fact that we've been on 1.21 forever and we have like 3 digits after that now, it's been kind of crazy. And it just makes it hard to kind of keep up with what's going on in the game. So they decided to change the numbering system. And I like the general direction that they went with it. Honestly, it's going to go by year. So if it happens in the year 2025, it'll be 25 dot something. When it happens in 2026, it'll be 26 dot something. Maybe some people don't like that, but whether you like it or don't, I think it's way better than what it used to be. So I'm down with it. I'm good. I like it. It's when you get into the details that I just have a big problem with this. And it's not the end of the world, but I think it just shows a lack of care for the players, because it's just confusing overall. So here, I'm going to give you the example right here, because they gave us the example right here, which is they gave us an example for 2025. Now, they're not actually changing this. This is just as an example to show how a year would work. So in 2025, Spring to Life released in the springtime. For Bedrock Edition, that's 25.10. For Java Edition, it's 25.1. I'm not quite sure why that has to be different and they have to work differently, but whatever. It's a 0 at the end. It's not the end of the world. I wish it was the same. Okay, so Bedrock Edition had some hot fixes, as we always do. So there's a 25.11, 25.12, 25.13. And then they push those hot fixes live, maybe with a couple of other feature-based things, because Bedrock is constantly getting new features, as a lot of features are behind compared to Java. So Bedrock had a release, which is 25.20. And then there was more hot fixes, 0.21, 0.22, 0.23. Okay, then we get to Chase the Skies. Well, the Chase the Skies update on Bedrock is 25.30, but on Java it's 25.2. Okay, then we have some more go on. Another Bedrock release, 25.40. Then we have the Copper Age release, 25.50, but it's 25.3 on Java. So on Bedrock Edition, 25.30 is Chase the Skies, but on Java Edition, 25.3 is the Copper Age. Are you a little confused now? Because you should be. Okay, let's continue going through the year. Up here's another Bedrock release, 25.60. Mounts of Mayhem comes out, 25.70 on Bedrock. Mounts of Mayhem on Java, 25.4. But 25.4 was a mid-release for Bedrock Edition. But it's Mounts of Mayhem for Bedrock, for Java. You see where I'm going here? So I don't know a lot of the background as to why these are the way they are. But what I do feel confident in saying is if it was important to them to be like, hey, like whatever new feature system we do, we just want to make sure that a version number for a drop on Bedrock and the version number for a drop on Java is the same. I'm fully confident that a multi-billion-dollar company that is the biggest, most successful game in history, arguably, or up there in the top 3, could probably figure that out. So I asked Sly Slime about this. He's a developer on the Java side, and he posted about the versioning system. So I replied and I said, any reason why Bedrock and Java versioning couldn't be the same, either with designation of non-drop content being labeled differently or skipping version numbers on the Java side? The difference is so incredibly confusing. Good chance to make them the same now. And Sly Slime did reply. He said, yes, there are a number of technical requirements behind the scenes that impact our ability to change versions that way on the Bedrock side, sadly. So first of all, let me just point out, I just like communication. Was it the answer that I wanted to hear? No, but that's cool. That's fine. Like, at least he gave me an answer back. He said something, and obviously, like, he knows what he's talking about. So he gave me a thoughtful answer. So Sly Slime, thank you. This is what we love to see. And I'm going to tie back into this a little bit later. But he said they can't change versions that way on the Bedrock side. Again, makes a little bit of sense, kind of, because Bedrock Edition has to go through multiple platforms, and maybe in some way those platforms have at least one of those, maybe Switch or maybe PlayStation, I don't know. Maybe somebody has some type of rule for versioning. So Mojang has to have a system that will work for everything, because you wouldn't want a different version for PlayStation versus Xbox, right? Okay, so fine, I get it. So let's have that system work, whatever the best way for it to work is, and maybe let's make Java match that, because on Java they're in full control. They can do whatever they want on the Java side, and maybe the answer is just as simple as skipping version numbers, minor version numbers on Java, just to make them match, or maybe they do something else. I don't know, but I would love to see them make it match. Anyways, it's a minor thing, but I think it all contributes to a larger like attitude by the company as a whole. So let's jump into the main rant for today, and that's parity. There's a new update that's in preview right now, where on Bedrock Edition, when you have a baby horse, mule, or donkey, mobs in passive mobs in Minecraft have 10 growth stages. You feed them. If you feed them something 10 times, it forces them through each stage, and a 10th time makes them an adult. Okay, so I feed a horse a golden carrot or something like that, right? Or is it a hay bale? I can't remember. But I feed the horse. I can feed him that thing 10 times, and he'll grow up to be an adult. But unlike other mobs, horses, mules, and donkeys, every time they either naturally go through the growth stage, or you feed them to make them go through it, they would get a little bit bigger, and then a little bit bigger, and a little bit bigger. So they actually like scaled up size as they got to adult. So first of all, is this like a crazy feature? Like, oh my God, we have to have this work for everything? No, but it'd be kind of cool, right? But it was a feature that I thought was kind of cool. I enjoyed. And even more so is I don't understand the reason to take it out of the game. Anyways, this is the most recent example. I have a list of examples for you. These are all things that have somewhat recently, maybe one or two of them were done a little while ago, were removed out of the game because Java Edition doesn't work that way, okay? Animal eating sounds. Whenever you fed an animal, it used to make a munching, like there was a sound letting you know that the animal ate something. It was a nice audible indicator. Buttons on fences. And then I think I have levers on fences. Just a little visual thing, but it was a nice, cool thing to be able to decorate with. You take a fence post, you put a button on top of it. It looks a little bit different. It was a nice little decor thing. Again, you could do the same thing with a lever. Horses and boats. A lot of you guys remember this. It was nice that a horse could get in a boat, and if you needed to cross a big ocean, you could bring your horse with you. Yes, they did make it so horses can quote unquote swim, but they swim really slow. So the fact that you could just put your horse in your boat and be about your way and then break the boat and get the horse out of it was really nice. They took that away too. Sprinting above water. A lot of you may not have noticed this one, but it used to be on Bedrock Edition where while your head was above water, if you clicked the sprint button, you would swim faster. On Java Edition, what happens is if you click the sprint button above water, you don't move faster. If you click the sprint button below water, you do. So they decided to take that away from Bedrock Edition just to make us swim slower in water. when we're above the water. I don't really understand. It doesn't make sense. And even more so, you can kind of trick the game to not do it. If you start swimming fast underwater and then slowly put your head above water, but don't come all the way up, you can still breathe, but you get to keep moving faster too. Anyways, it doesn't make sense why they would take that out. What was the big deal of us moving a little bit faster when we could actually see above the water? Okay, next, waterlogged blocks retaining after being piston pushed. This one was changed a while ago, but it was parity. Basically, it used to be if you had a stair with water in it and you pushed it with a piston, the water would stay. The water would still be there. This made for a lot of really cool redstone contraptions. It was a pretty neat feature, I think. But it didn't work that way on Java, so they just decided to remove it from Bedrock Edition. I don't know why. You used to be able to attach leads to walls on Bedrock Edition. You can't anymore. You could click on a wall with a lead and it would attach it to the wall. Shattered savannas on Bedrock Edition used to have green grass. Everybody loved this. But since that's not how it works on Java, they took it away. I could dismiss this one though, because you could say, oh, but I mean that was a bug. It's not supposed to be really green. Okay, we can cross this one out if that's what you want to say. I think that's a fair argument. On Bedrock Edition, campfires used to set mobs on fire when they walked on them, whereas on Java they didn't. This was kind of cool because what you could do is you could have like a passive mob, say a cow or something. You could make it so an adult cow would fall on a campfire. It would not only kill the cow, but it would give you the cooked meat instead of the uncooked meat. And it just kind of felt like it made sense. Like when you step on fire, you catch on fire. Like that's just how it works. But since Java didn't work that way, they changed it and they made it so mobs no longer get set on fire. This was a huge one not that long ago. Cursor direction on map edges. It used to be on Bedrock Edition when you looked at a map, you could see which direction you were facing on the map because you weren't just a circle. You were like a little pointer, like you were a circle with a little triangle on the end of it, letting you know what direction you were facing. So you could have the map up and turn and see what direction that you're facing on the map. It's pretty nice. But not only was it important on just the core map, it was extremely important when you're off the map. So let's say you have a map, you go off of it, you could just turn until you see what direction is the right direction to go and then start moving that direction. It was a nice visual indicator. And sure, you could say, yeah, but just if you know north, south, east, and west, then what's the big deal? Okay, but also it's not like we started with the circle and somebody said, hey, why don't we add an arrow to show it? And then your comeback is, yeah, but I mean, you can already figure that out. It's fine. So let's not waste time adding the feature. No. The feature is already there. And we decided to spend time taking it out, making the game marginally worse and spending our time on that. Okay, let me move on. On Bedrock Edition, you were always able to craft cobwebs into string. If you got a cobweb, you could craft it into 9 string. It's pretty nice, right? You had to get shears to go and find cobwebs somewhere, and you could use that to get the string. And that's not how it worked in Java, so they took that away. On Bedrock Edition, it used to be that blue ice emitted a light level of 3. I actually use this myself in some areas because I decorated with blue ice and I liked that it had a small light level to it. It made it a really fun decorative block. Java Edition didn't work this way. Bedrock Edition did. Sure, if you want to say, yeah, but it doesn't make sense that it emits light. Yeah, but mushrooms also emit a light level of 1, but that's how they work in Java. Actually, it's a perfect example. Mushrooms on Java Edition emit a light level of 1. They didn't used to emit a light level of 1 on Bedrock Edition, and I'm pretty sure they recently made that parity change and made the mushrooms emit light. So why would we take a block that doesn't make sense to emit light on Java Edition and say, hey, that's cool, let's give that to Bedrock Edition too? But on Bedrock Edition, you have a block that emits light, and you don't say, oh, hey, that's cool, let's add it to Java. You actually do it the other way and you take it away from Bedrock. Do you see where the disconnect is here? And the last one here was on Bedrock Edition, zombie villagers would spawn from mob spawners. Again, people tried saying, no, this isn't how it's supposed to work. But I mean, if you've always played Bedrock Edition, that is how it's supposed to work. That's how it's always worked. So to us, it made sense. There's a random, I understand that a zombie villager and a zombie have a different spawn egg to spawn them in. I get it. But in terms of normal world spawning, right? You just have a random chance for a zombie villager to be there instead of a zombie. Like that's just how it works. So it made sense, at least to me, that a mob spawner would work that way on Bedrock Edition too. So because of that feature, and a lot of us would build our trading halls and our iron farms around these because we had mechanics there that we could use. And it was really cool. And they took it away. They got rid of it. Okay, so here's where I want to get to probably my biggest overall point here is whether any of these features were ones that you personally liked or used or not. And I would be willing to bet that almost 100% of you have a few of these features that you liked. And then maybe 70% of them you didn't really care. And I've had a lot of people fight me on this and say, yeah, I don't really care about this one. So what's the big deal? The big deal is that eventually there's one that you do care about, and it is a big deal to you. But then there's going to be another 80% of people to say it's not a big deal, and you're going to be like, but wait, it's a big deal to me. So this is the problem, and this is where I say Bedrock Edition players kind of deserve the treatment that they're getting, which is you'll get loud and you'll fight for the 2 or 3 things on this list that got taken away that you really liked and wanted, but then you'll dismiss the other ones and say, nah, it's not a big deal, who cares? And when you do this, you essentially give Mojang permission to continue to do these types of parity changes because everybody's kind of broken up and fighting each other. And oh, well, some people say they don't care, and some people say they do care, and some people think that we're right in taking it away, and some people don't. And instead, what I would ask you to do is let's just break it down to the principle, because ultimately, if we don't do this, we're going to start losing bigger things that are a much bigger deal. They will take away our gold farms from being able to produce zombified piglins. Because guess what? They don't work the same way on Java Edition. So if there was parity there, no more portal ticking gold farms. They'll take away our trident killers. Doesn't work like that on Java Edition. You can't just push a trident with a piston and it kills stuff. And I think the arrow, like we have arrow killers too, probably take that away too. I don't think it works like that on Java there either. So at some point, you're all going to hit a line where you feel like, oh man, why are they taking this? Well, this has gone too far. But at that point, you've already let it go too far. So it's too late. Like, that's just it. You're done because you didn't throw a fit about anything else. So anyways, here's my main point and how I think about this ultimately, and how I hope you guys will think about this too. I'm not going to like go into great detail on these. I'm just going to kind of list them off. But my thing is why are we taking time, dev time, to intentionally remove features that don't really have a negative impact on the game, and in many ways are nice QOL features or nice parts about Bedrock Edition that we all liked? Why are we taking the time to go out of our way to remove these things when we have these other things that Java Edition has that are good things that we would probably like to have, right? Axes on Java Edition deal more damage than they do on Bedrock Edition. That sounds like a simple change. Health regenerates faster on Java Edition. They don't have to eat anywhere near as like much as we do. That sounds really nice. Boats on Bedrock have 10 times the amount of health. How many times do you have to punch that boat to break it? Guess what? On Java Edition, you just got to hit it once. Whack it one time and it's it. That's kind of nice. Java Edition has sweeping edge. Java Edition has offhand use. I know a lot of you guys want to have that one. Trading on Java Edition is a lot different. I'm sure you know on Bedrock Edition, once you trade with a villager twice and then you go to trade with them a third time the next day, the price is like way higher and you're like, what the heck is this? I got to wait for the price to go down again. Doesn't work like that on Java Edition. When you do that on Java, the next day the price goes down. Yeah. I'm not trolling you. The price goes down after trading a lot on Java Edition, and then it stays down for several more cycles until it finally starts to go up some above the normal cost. Why is that? Why can't we have that on Bedrock Edition? You're telling me that instead of giving me better trade discounts, that you instead made it so my animals don't have staged growth anymore? Like, that seems like a weird decision. This is a pretty big one. Did you know Iron Golem spawning works way different on Java Edition? They have a mechanic where, gossip mechanic, where the villagers say, oh my God, there's a zombie nearby. Let's spawn an Iron Golem. And they have these massive iron farms because of this. This has been this way for years now. Java Edition has a zombie reinforcement mechanic where like you can trigger a big zombie raid to appear. Not only is that kind of cool, they use that for really, really cool drowned farms to farm a whole lot of copper. Can't do that on Bedrock Edition. Java Edition villagers actually offer more trades than Bedrock Edition ones do. Did you know in Bedrock Edition, you can only have 2 armor trades on a single villager? But on Java Edition, every villager has all 4 armors to trade. There's a lot of examples of this where Java villagers just trade more things than Bedrock Edition villagers do. On Java Edition, you can fly your elytra underwater, meaning you can run, like, go through water a lot faster. And if you fall in the water with your elytra, you can just simply fly out. Doesn't work like that on Bedrock. Dolphin's Grace doesn't really exist on Bedrock Edition. I mean, it kind of does, but it's like way faster on Java Edition. Java Edition, they can just turn on an option for tooltips, and when they hover over their tools and weapons and stuff, it tells them how much durability they have left. Java Edition has map markers with their banners. If you place a colored banner down or a named banner down, and then like you click it on your map or something, I can't remember exactly how, or you click your map on the banner, it adds it to the map. So you can mark locations by color and by name on your maps in Java Edition. Can't do that on Bedrock. Java Edition has in-game per world stats, like how much dirt did you mine or how many zombies have you killed. Basically anything that you've done in the game, there's a stat for it. Did you know that? It's kind of cool. Wish I had that. There's also the per world advancements, they call them. We have them as achievements on Bedrock Edition. Per world advancements. Every time you start a new world, you have like a list of like things that you can achieve. That's kind of cool. I like that. The health regeneration for an allay is way better on Java Edition, meaning they die less. I didn't know this one. On buttons, you can have buttons face different directions on Java Edition. If you are looking down, like at the top of a block or the bottom of a block, depending on which way you're facing, the button can face a different direction. That's kind of cool. It doesn't work like that on Bedrock. On Java Edition, you can put armor in a dispenser and dispense the armor on yourself, on a player, or on a villager. That's really neat. You could just like walk into a little station and all of your armor appears. Or if you want all of your villagers to be decked out in different color leather armor, or if you want to put netherite armor on them, you can armor up all your villagers. That's kind of neat. On Java Edition, they have these things called Ender Pearl stasis chambers. You know what they do? They keep chunks loaded. So if you have a farm running and you want that farm to run when you're not even there, you can build one of these little chambers. They're pretty simple. And when you leave the area, the farm will still be running. That's kind of neat. I wish we had those. This is intentional behavior, by the way. They made it work even better on Java Edition recently. It's not a bug. This one I didn't know either, and this one's kind of wild to me. On Java Edition, you can have a toggle button for crouch, not just hold shift to crouch, but you can just have it toggle on and off. We already have that on console. Console can have toggle or hold, but on PC, we don't have toggle, but on Java they do. And the last example I have is on Java Edition, you can press a button and see chunk borders. If you do anything with farms or redstone, you typically need to know where chunk borders are because redstone and farms can be pretty buggy and not work right if you don't align them properly. You have to download an add-on to do this on Bedrock Edition. Java Edition, it's just a button built into the game. So my ultimate thing here, I've gone on for a while now, is that instead of doing some of these, all of these, of which at least most of them should be pretty easy, like how much damage an axe deals or how fast our hunger goes down, right? Instead of doing these things that would make the game better for Bedrock Edition players, instead they're doing these things that objectively just make the game worse. Add that in a time when who remembers the last major update we just had where it broke everything for almost everybody and deleted people's worlds and all that? So we're having like these really big like game breaking updates that still aren't fixed to this day. There's a lot of people who are still having a lot of problems, texture bugs and all sorts of stuff. Instead of both fixing that and adding just like cool little things to Bedrock Edition that Java has that's better, we're spending our time making it so horses can't ride in boats anymore and removing the light level from blue ice. And lastly, I'm gonna end with this. I'm gonna launch the game for this. Can we also talk about how I've been sitting here for 3 minutes and my game has just been sitting at 50%? This is something that started with the latest update. Also, this black bar down here started with the last major update as well. The update that broke everything. Yeah, Minecraft is just kind of screwed right now. I have to wait forever for my game to load. Okay, so Toy Cat did a video on this, so I'm not going to go crazy with it. You can go watch this video if you want to, because he proves the point well. But the point that he proved was you can get to the marketplace or to purchase stuff in game through literally every button, every menu or sub menu in the entire game. Everything takes you there. You hit play. Here's realms right here, right? I can click on realms and I can buy a realm if I want to, or if I go to create a new world, it tells me all this marketplace stuff. So they throw it in your face nonstop. It's really annoying. But here's the big point I want to make. Let me go into a world, because ultimately here we can see where Mojang's priority actually is and what they really care about right now. I think it's glaringly obvious to the point that it's ruining the game. And if you've watched me long enough, you know, generally speaking, I support the marketplace. Like I'm fine with it being there. I don't dislike it being there. I think that it's good for people to get paid for the stuff that they make. I have no quarrels with that at all. The problem is that the marketplace consumes all right now. It's by far and away their main and almost only priority, and they make it incredibly obvious. And the point that I want to make here is when I hit the escape button, I have resume game, browse add-ons, save and quit. You let me know, but this has been my experience. I'm doing something. Let me change my world settings real quick. Oops, I clicked the marketplace button. This used to be the settings button. It used to be resume game, settings, marketplace, save and quit. Now they gave us this little tiny itty bitty settings button and this huge browse add-ons button in the place where the settings button used to be. This has got to be the most predatory crap I have ever seen in my entire life. It is disgusting. And I think it says something in terms of what they think of you guys, the Bedrock Edition player base. To them, you're nothing more than a cash cow. That's it. To the point where they will trick your brain into clicking this browse add-ons button in the hope that 0.1% of you might see something you like by accident and purchase it. So they don't care about taking these things away from you. They don't really care about giving you these things, because if they did, then they wouldn't take these things away and they would give you these things. What they care about is that you click that browse add-ons button instead of the settings button by accident, and they hope that you spend a few dollars in the marketplace. Unfortunately, that's where we are with Bedrock Edition right now. It's one of the main reasons that I'm spending a lot of time covering, talking about, and will be spending a lot of time playing Hightail. No, I'm not quitting Minecraft. I do still love the game. I like Bedrock Edition. I like the world that I'm playing in. I like my new guide series. But all of those things being said, I don't have the same feeling when I play the game today as I did 5 years ago. And it's not because the game's not good. It's not because I don't like the updates. It's because, or the major updates, the content updates, I'm fine with all of those. I think a lot of them are actually quite great. It's because of all this other stuff we talked about today. If you feel the same way as me, let me know. If you think I'm just a whiny baby and I just need to get over it, then whatever, you can let me know down below as well. That's how I feel about it. I appreciate you guys watching. Like and subscribe, especially if you want to check out Hightail. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.